Malik Jackson, a black CEO, stands victorious on the Atlanta spotlight set, sweat beading as he rips into racist host Diana Voss live. Her smug diversity hire dig imploding when he slams her network's all-white exec board, igniting wild cheers. Cameras cut, but Diana's venomous stare chills the air. This win feels massive, yet it's a ticking bomb about to shred his world. One clip explodes online, but the real explosion's brewing, a storm that'll scar him forever. What's Diana plotting behind that fake smile? Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from. And if you stand for justice, smash that like button, subscribe, and join us for more epic takedowns. Malik Jackson stepped off the Atlanta spotlight stage, the echo of applause still ringing in his ears. His navy suit pristine, despite the sweat soaking his undershirt from that brutal showdown. With Diana Voss, his phone buzzed non-stop as he hit the green room, notifications piling up like a digital avalanche. 10 million views clocked on the clip of him tearing into her racist jab within hours, a wildfire spreading across screens nationwide. On Twitter, half the country crowned him a king, hashtags like Malik Thetruth trending, folks typing out fire emojis and quotes of his mic drop line about her network's lily white exec board, while the other half spewed venom, calling him an uppity thug who dared to step out of line. He scrolled through it all, smirking at the love, shrugging at the hate, figuring he'd seen worse in boardrooms over the years running Apex Innovations, his green energy empire that had turned Atlanta into a hub for solar tech. His assistant, Tasha, a sharp 20-something with braids pulled tight, shoved a tablet in his face, showing clips of strangers on street corners praising him. Kids in hoodies chanting his name like he was some kind of folk hero. Malik leaned back on a leather couch, exhaling hard through his nose, feeling the weight lift for a split second, thinking maybe this was the moment he'd finally broken through the noise. But across town, in a sleek high-rise overlooking Peachtree Street, Diana Voss wasn't clapping. She sat rigid in a corner office, her platinum bob catching the light, her jaw clenched so tight it could crack glass, staring at a muted TV replaying. Her humiliation, her producer, Richard Hale, a weary 50-something with a buzz cut and a tan to perfect for Georgia winters, paced behind her, his polished loafers clicking on hardwood, his voice low and venomous as he muttered, "We can't let him win this, no way in hell." Richard wasn't just her boss, he was the puppet master of Hale Media Group, a sprawling empire of TV stations, radio waves, and clickbait sites. A white tycoon who'd built his fortune on soundbites and scandals, and he'd hated Malik since Apex outbid him on a city solar contract 3 years back, a loss that still stung like a fresh cut. Diana's eyes narrowed, her manicured nails tapping the desk, and she hissed, "He thinks he's untouchable. Let's show him he's not." They hatched a plan quick, no hesitation. Richard calling in a favor from a shady editor at one of his bottom feeder websites, a guy who'd twist anything for a paycheck. By midnight, a doctored clip hit the internet. Malik's words sliced and stitched to sound like he'd raged. "White folks don't deserve their jobs. It's time we took them all." A complete lie that turned his measured takedown into a frothing, anti-white tirade. The backlash hit like a freight train, social media erupting, racists piling on with glee, flooding his mentions with threats, stuff like "watch your back, boy," and "someone needs to put you down," the kind of bile that'd make your stomach turn if you stared too long. Malik woke up to it at 6, sprawled on his couch in his midtown loft, the city skyline gray through floor-to-ceiling windows, his phone glowing with 1,000 new alerts. He squinted at the screen, watched the fake clip, and laughed, a deep, rumbling sound that shook his chest because he'd seen this playbook before, knew it was desperate. He called Tasha, told her to prep a speech, something sharp to cut through the noise, figuring he'd hit a live stream by noon and set the record straight, show the world he wasn't fazed. He showered, threw on a fresh shirt, navy again because it was his armor, and grabbed his keys, heading out to Apex's HQ 10 miles north. The morning air crisp at 55 degrees Fahrenheit, the sun barely cracking the horizon. Traffic hummed on Interstate 285, Atlanta's concrete loop. Malik weaving his black Tesla through early commuters, mind racing on how to spin this one bigger. Maybe turn the hate into fuel for Apex's next project, a solar grid. For underserved neighborhoods. He hit 70 miles an hour, foot steady on the pedal. When the steering tightened, a weird jolt he chalked up to road bumps. Until he tapped the brake for a slowing semi ahead and nothing happened. No give, no slowdown, just the pedal sinking uselessly to the floor. His pulse spiked, hands gripping the wheel as the Tesla shot forward, the semi looming huge. Steel glinting in his windshield, horns blaring from cars swerving around him. He yanked the emergency brake, tires screeching, the car fishtailing wild. Across 3 lanes, metal scraping metal as he clipped a pickup, spinning hard into the guardrail with a bone-rattling crunch, airbags exploding white in his face. Silence settled, smoke curling from the hood. His chest heaving as blood trickled warm from a cut above his eye, stinging salty on his lips. Drivers gawked from stopped cars, phones out filming. But none rushed over, just stared like he was a sideshow. Malik kicked the door open, stumbled onto the asphalt, legs shaky but holding. His suit torn at the shoulder, adrenaline pumping so loud he barely heard the sirens wailing closer. Cops rolled up, 2 white guys in crisp blues, badges glinting, one muttering into a radio while the other sauntered over, hands on hips, eyeing Malik up and down like he'd caused the wreck on purpose. "What happened here, buddy?" the cop drawled, tone thick with something Malik couldn't pin but felt in his gut. A smirk tugging the guy's mouth as he glanced at the mangled Tesla. Malik wiped blood from his brow, voice steady despite the throb in his skull. Brakes failed, someone tampered with it, the cop snorted, scribbling on a pad. Sure they did, probably just bad driving, and walked off, leaving Malik leaning on the rail, the wrecked car a twisted heap behind him. He pulled his phone, cracked but working, and texted Tasha, "Get security on my car now." Knowing this wasn't random, not after that clip, not after Diana's glare. Back at Hale Media's tower, Richard watched the crash hit breaking news, a smirk splitting his face as Diana poured coffee, her voice cool. "Told you he'd regret it." They toasted mugs, thinking they'd clipped his wings, but Malik was already on his feet, brushing glass off his sleeves, eyes narrowing as he pieced it together. The hate online morphing into something real, something that wanted him dead. He called a tow, hopped an Uber back to his loft, mind churning. Because if they'd gone this far this fast, what was next? He'd survived, sure, but the crash was just the first shot, a warning he couldn't ignore. As he sank onto his couch, staring at the city sprawled below, he knew the war he'd sparked on that stage was about to get bloody. Tasha burst in an hour later, breathless. "Malik, you okay? We've got the speech ready. Let's hit back." He nodded, slow, deliberate, wiping the last of the blood with a tissue. "Yeah, we're hitting back, but this isn't just words anymore, it's a fight." He stood, cracked his knuckles, and grabbed his laptop, pulling up the live stream app, ready to face the world again, his jaw set hard. Because he'd be damned if he let them see him flinch. The crash replayed in his head, the screech of tires, the jolt of impact, but it wasn't fear fueling him now, it was fire, pure and hot, burning through the fog of shock. He typed the stream title, "The Truth They Can't Break," and hit go live. The camera light blinking red, his face filling screens across America, bloodied but unbowed. Voice steady as he started. "They tried to silence me today, almost killed me, but I'm still here, and I've got something to say." Views ticked up, thousands in seconds, the clip of him against Diana still fresh. But this was new, raw, a man who'd dodged death and come up swinging. And as he spoke, laying out the fake clip, the threats, the crash, he didn't know. Richard and Diana were watching too, their mugs paused mid-sip, realizing they'd underestimated him bad. Malik Jackson sat hunched over his laptop in his midtown loft. The city skyline, a blur of orange dusk through the windows. His bruised knuckles tapping the keys as the live stream counter ticked past 500,000 viewers, his voice steady, despite the cut above his eye still stinging from the morning's crash on Interstate 85. "They faked that clip, tried to run me off the road, but I'm not backing down," he said. His navy suit jacket slung over a chair, tie loosened, the wrecked Tesla's image flashing on screen behind him. A crumpled testament to the war he'd stumbled into after torching Diana Voss on Live TV. The chat exploded, fans typing King Malik and exposed them while trolls spat slurs and threats. But he kept going, laying out how Hale Media Group, Richard Hale's empire, had twisted his words to paint him as a race-baiting lunatic. His dark eyes locked on the camera, daring the world to listen. By the time he signed off, an hour later, the video was everywhere. News stations replaying his blood-streaked face, pundits debating if he was a hero or a hothead, and Apex Innovations stock, shaky after the viral chaos, started creeping back up. Investors texting Tasha with cautious optimism. Malik leaned back on his couch, ice pack pressed to his swollen brow, feeling the tide turn, thinking maybe he'd dodged the worst, that exposing the brake sabotage would keep the vultures at bay. He grabbed a coffee, black and bitter, and called his mechanic, a grizzled guy named Ray who'd towed the Tesla to a shop off Ponce de Leon Avenue. "Ray, tell me you found something." And Ray's gravelly voice came through. Lines were cut clean. "Man, nowhere, no tear. Someone wanted you gone." Malik nodded, jaw tight, proof in hand, and told Tasha to prep a press conference for 9 the next morning outside Apex's sleek headquarters, a glass tower in Buckhead glowing with solar panels he'd designed himself. He slept fitful that night, dreams of screeching tires and Diana's smirk, waking at dawn to a text from Tasha. "We're trending again, boss, you're unstoppable." He suited up, a fresh charcoal number this time, and drove a rental SUV to the office. Pulling into the lot at 8:30, the air muggy at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Reporters already swarming, cameras flashing as he stepped out, Ray's report tucked under his arm. The mic stand waited, Apex's logo gleaming behind it, and Malik launched in, voice booming. "Yesterday, they tried to kill me, doctored a clip to smear me, but here's the truth." Holding up the mechanic's photos of severed brake lines. The crowd gasping, phones recording every word. Hale Media's scared of what I've built. Scared of a black man winning fair. Cheers erupted, a chant of justice for Malik rising, and he felt it, that surge of power. The world tilting his way, hashtags like truth wins spiking online as the presser streamed live. Apex's stock jumping 10 points by noon. He shook hands, grinned for photos, thinking he'd turned their hit into his home run, until his phone buzzed mid-handshake. Tasha's voice tight. "Malik, check your email, now." He ducked inside, the lobby's cool air hitting his face, and pulled up a message from Apex's biggest investor, a renewable energy fund out of California. "Due to recent instability, we're pulling our stake, effective immediately." His stomach dropped, then another ping, a second investor, then a third, all bailing. 30% of Apex's value gone in 2 hours, the stock ticker on his screen plummeting red. He stormed to his office, 23rd floor, glass walls overlooking Atlanta's sprawl, and called the fund's head, a guy named Carter he'd golfed with last spring. "What the hell, man?" Carter's voice was clipped. "Richard Hale. Called, said you're toxic, threatened to tank us if we stayed. I'm sorry, Malik." Rage boiled in his chest, Hale's name a punch to the gut. That bastard flexing his media muscle to choke Apex dry, and Malik slammed the desk, vowing to fight, digging through call logs with Tasha, tracing Hale's threats to 3 more boardrooms. Concrete proof piling up. He was mid-call with a lawyer, plotting a countersuit, when sirens wailed outside. Red and blue lights bouncing off the lobby glass, Atlanta PD swarming in. A dozen cops in tactical vests, guns drawn, barking. "Malik Jackson, hands up, you're under arrest." He froze, phone slipping, as they shoved him against the wall. Cuffs biting his wrists, reporters outside filming it live. The headline already screaming. Apex CEO busted for tax fraud. The lead cop, a beefy white guy with a buzz cut, smirked as he tightened the steel. "Should have stayed in your lane, hotshot," while another read fake charges, claiming Apex dodged millions in taxes. Papers waved in his face with forged signatures Malik had never seen. Employees gaped, Tasha shouting, "This is bullshit," but the cops hauled him out. cameras catching every step, his charcoal suit rumpled, head high despite the humiliation. The crowd parting silent as he hit the squad car, shoved in back. Like a common thief, the precinct was a blur, fingerprints, mugshots. The cop's smirk burned in his brain, but his lawyer, a weary black woman named Erica, bailed him out by dusk to $100 grand, her voice sharp. "This is a setup, Wheel. Beat it." Malik hit the street, free at 8. The night air thick at 68 degrees. Reporters shouting questions he ignored, his mind racing, Hale's shadow everywhere. That presser went nowish in his mouth. He crashed at a hotel, not risking home, and flipped on the TV, every channel replaying his arrest, pundits sneering. "Guess he's not so clean." Apex's stock a bleeding corpse on the ticker. He clenched his fists, Erica texting, "We've got Ray's report, we'll countersue," and he nodded. Resolve hardening, thinking he'd claw back, expose Hale's game, show the world he wasn't broken. He slept 2 hours, waking to a knock at 5, Tasha slipping in, "Malik, you're trending. Folks are pissed for you." And he smirked, "Good, let's use it." They drafted a statement, him pacing in a borrowed hoodie, ready to hit back at 9. Livestream round 2 when his phone pinged, an email from Hale's attorney. A $1 billion defamation suit slamming down, claiming Malik's lies about the crash and clip ruined Hale Media's rep, demanding Apex's corpse as payment. His breath caught, the room spinning, Tasha whispering, "Holy shit," and he stared at the screen. The arrest footage looping on mute behind him, cops grinning, Hale's invisible hand tightening the noose. Erica called, "They're burying." "US, but I've got filings ready," and Malik growled, "File them, we're not done." But deep down, that presser high felt like a lifetime ago. The crash a warm-up, this suit a blade to his throat. Hale's war machine roaring full tilt. He stood at the hotel window, Atlanta's lights mocking him, 30% of his company gone. Coughed on TV, now $1 billion in the hole, all because he dared to speak. Dared to win against Diana's smug face. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number, "Quit now or it gets worse," and he deleted it, knuckles white. Because worse was coming, he felt it in his bones, the arrest just a taste. Hale's next move lurking like a shark in the dark, and as he watched, the city wake, he knew this fight was about to swallow him whole. Malik Jackson slumped against the hotel room window, Atlanta's dawn smearing the skyline in gold. His phone screen glowing with that $1 billion defamation suit from Richard Hale. A dagger aimed at Apex Innovation's heart after his arrest. Had aired live the night before. Cops smirking as they dragged him out in cuffs for a fake tax fraud rap. His lawyer, Erica, had filings ready, and he'd growled, "Do it," determined to claw back from the edge, even as 30% of his company's value bled out, and his name trended for all the wrong reasons. He showered quick, the water scalding at 90 degrees Fahrenheit, steam fogging the mirror as he scrubbed off precinct grime, then threw on a gray sweatshirt and jeans, ditching the suit to blend in, because going home felt like walking into a trap. Tasha slipped in at 6, her braids bouncing as she dumped a stack of papers on the bed. Countersuits drafted. We've got Hale's calls to investors, solid dirt tying him to the crash. Malik nodded, jaw tight. File it today. Let's bury him. And by 8, Erica hit the courthouse, slamming Hale Media with evidence of coercion and sabotage. Apex's stock twitching up 5 points as news broke, Twitter buzzing with Justice Formalic. Again, he met Erica at a diner off Peachtree Road, vinyl booths sticky, coffee burnt at $2 a cup, her sharp eyes glinting as she slid him a tablet. "Judges leaning our way, Malik. We might flip this." He smirked, sipping the sludge, feeling the tide shift, picturing Hale squirming in his high-rise. Diana Voss's smug face cracking when the ruling dropped. By noon, courts froze Hale's suit pending review, Apex's investors texting apologies, and Malik exhaled, thinking he'd dodged another bullet, the crash and cuffs fading like bad dreams. He called his wife, Lena, a nurse who'd stood by him since college, her voice soft over the line. "You okay, baby? Aisha's asking when you're home." And he promised, "Soon, just tying this up." Picturing their 12-year-olds. Gap-toothed grin, the normalcy he craved. He hung up. stepping into the humid 75-degree air, ready to breathe, when his phone pinged. Lena's hospital HR, effective immediately. Lena Jackson is terminated due to conflict of interest, tied to Apex's legal disputes. His gut twisted, Hale's name unspoken but screaming in the subtext. That bastard reaching beyond him now, strangling his family's lifeline. He called Lena, her voice shaking. They escorted me out, Malik said, it's orders from above. And he punched the diner wall, knuckles splitting. I'll fix this, I swear, she sighed. Just come home, and he agreed, grabbing the rental SUV. Tires humming 20 miles south to their Decatur house, a brick two-story with a porch. Swing, pulling in at 3, Lena hugging him tight, her scrubs swapped for sweats. Aisha barreling in daddy. He scooped her up, her braids brushing his cheek, and for a minute, the world felt right. He grilled Lena, who called it in, and she shrugged. Edmund wouldn't say, but it's fishy. I've got no ties to Apex. He dialed the hospital. CEO, a guy named Pritchard he'd met at a gala. What's this bullshit? Pritchard stammered. Hale Media's our biggest owner. They leaned hard. I had no choice. Malik hung up, fury simmering, Hale's claws deeper than he'd thought. But he'd barely processed it when Lena gasped, Aisha's not in the yard. Panic clawed his chest. The swing empty, her bike tipped over, and he bolted outside. Shouting her name, neighbors peeking from curtains, the street eerily still at 80 degrees. Lena called 911, voice cracking, my daughter's gone, while Malik scoured the block. Pulse hammering, until his phone buzzed, a blocked number texting, drop the suit, or she's dead. With a photo, Aisha gagged, eyes wide in a dim room, his knees buckled, Lena sobbing beside him, cops rolling up slow at 4. 2 white officers strolling over, one muttering, kids wander, she'll turn up. But Malik thrust the phone at them, this isn't a game, move. They shrugged, could be a prank, and took a lazy report, leaving him seething. Hale's shadow choking his air. He called Tasha, get every contact we've got, now, and by 5. A pie buddy, Carlos, pinged a lead, an abandoned warehouse, off Moreland Avenue, 10 miles east, tied to Hale's shell companies. Malik grabbed a Glock from his safe, Lena begging, don't go alone, but he kissed her hard. I'm bringing her back, and sped off, tires screeching, the sun dipping low. His mind a haze of dread and rage. He hit the warehouse at 6, a crumbling brick hulk, windows boarded and crept in, gun drawn. Heart pounding as he spotted Aisha tied to a chair, to goons in ski masks looming, one snarling, should have quit, Jackson. Malik lunged, elbow cracking a jaw, shots popping as he ducked, bullets pinging off rusted beams. The second guy tackling him, fist slamming his ribs, but he twisted, fired once. The thug dropping with a grunt, blood pooling black on concrete. He untied Aisha, her sobs muffled, Daddy, I was scared, and he hugged her tight. You're safe now. Adrenaline masking the ache in his side, carrying her out as sirens wailed distant. Cops finally moving after he'd done the dirty work. Back home by 8, Lena clutched Aisha, tears streaming, cops taking statements. Brushing it off. Probably just punks, no mention of Hale, no real probe, Malik's pie texting. Cops won't dig, they're scared of him. He locked the doors, Aisha asleep upstairs, Lena whispering, we can't stay here, and he nodded. Planning a safe house, thinking he'd won her back. Hale's goons down. When a crash shattered the quiet, glass exploding inward, a Molotov. Cocktail torching the living room rug, flames leaping orange at 100 degrees. Smoke choking the air. Malik grabbed an extinguisher, dousing it fast, Lena screaming, get Aisha. As he raced upstairs, scooping her from bed, her coughs ragged, the 3 stumbling outside at 9. Neighbors gawking, fire trucks roaring up, the porch swing chars now. Cops rolled in again. Same 2, one smirking, rough night, huh? And Malik snapped, this is Hale, you idiots. But they scribbled nothing, accidents happen. Leaving him in the yard, suit soaked, family shivering, the house reeking of gasoline. He stared at the embers, Lena's job gone, Aisha snatched. Now their home hit. Hale's were personal now, racial venom dripping from every move. Those goons' slurs echoing, stay in your place. The cops shrugged, screaming complicity. He called Carlos, Find me a spot. We're out tonight," and bundled Lena and Aisha into the SUV, driving blind to a motel off Interstate 20, 30 miles west, checking in at 10. The room stale at 65 degrees. Aisha curled on a cot, Lena's eyes hollow. "Why us?" He had no answer, just rage. Hale's billion-dollar suit a joke next to this. A man who'd burn his life down because he dared to win on that stage. He sat up all night, Glock on the table, texting Erica, pushed the suit harder, they've crossed every line, and she replied on it, "We'll bleed them dry." But as dawn crept in, gray at 5, he knew Hale wasn't done. The fire a warning, the next hit coming, bigger, meaner. Because he'd humiliated Diana, exposed their game, and they'd rather see him dead than standing. His phone buzzed. "Tasha, press is eating this up. Malik, you're a martyr now." And he muttered, "Martyr's no good if I'm ashes," staring at his family, the weight of their safety crushing him. The victory he'd tasted at noon. A ghost, Hale's claws in his bones, and whatever came next, he'd fight. But damn if it didn't feel like the ground was already gone. Malik Jackson sat rigid in the motel room off Interstate 20, the neon sign flickering outside at 5 in the morning, casting jagged shadows across the peeling wallpaper. His Glock resting heavy on the chip table, eyes bloodshot from a sleepless night after the Molotov cocktail torched his Decatur home's living room hours ago. The stench of gasoline still clinging to his gray sweatshirt. Lena slept fitful on the sagging bed, her breathing shallow. Aisha curled beside her, 12 years old but looking smaller, fragile, after being snatched and rescued from that Moreland Avenue warehouse. Her sobs echoing in his skull. He'd moved them here, 30 miles west of the wreckage, after Hale's goons hit. The cops shrugging it off like it was nothing, their smirks burning hotter than the flames. His phone glowed with Tasha's text, "Press is all over this. You're a martyr now." But martyrdom felt hollow when his wife's job was gone, his daughter's screams fresh, and Richard Hale's billion-dollar defamation suit loomed like a guillotine over Apex Innovations. He stood, joints creaking, and slipped out at 6, the air crisp at 60 degrees Fahrenheit, driving the rental SUV back to Atlanta, 30 miles east, to a safe house Carlos had secured. A drab duplex in East Point with barred windows, stashing. Lena and Aisha there by 7, Lena whispering, "Be careful." Her eyes pleading as he kissed her forehead, Aisha clutching his leg, "Don't go, Daddy." He forced a smile, "I'll fix this," and peeled out, tires humming, Glock tucked in his waistband. Headed to Apex's Buckhead HQ, the glass tower glinting in the morning sun, determined to hit back. Erica met him in the lobby at 8, her suit crisp, tablet in hand, countersuits gaining traction. "We've got Hale's hospital pressure on Lena. Investor calls, we're close." Malik nodded, "Push it, they've gone too far." And by noon, he'd hired a security firm, ex-Marines in black polos, stationing them at the safe house. Then leaked the hospital dirt to a local blog, a gritty outlet called ATL Uncovered. The story blowing up online, Hale Media sacks nurse and revenge plot. Protests sparking outside Hale's downtown tower. Chance of shame on Hale rattling the glass. Apex's stock ticked up, public outrage swelling, and Malik felt it, that flicker of control. Thinking maybe he'd turned the tide again, Hale's grip slipping as Twitter lit up with support. Clips of his crash livestream remixed with the fire footage, folks raging, "This man's a warrior. Protect him." He was mid-call with Erica at 2, pacing his office, 23rd floor, city sprawling below, when his phone buzzed. Jamal Tate, his coup and oldest friend, a broad-shouldered guy he'd known since Moreland High, 20 years back, texting, "Court's live. Turn on now." Malik flipped to a news stream, the defamation hearing unfolding, Erica shredding Hale's lawyer, and then Jamal took the stand, sworn in, his tie crooked, voice steady. Malik cooked Apex's books, fudged. "Numbers to look legit, I saw it." Malik's breath stopped, the room tilting. Jamal's words a knife. "He pushed me to lie. Said it'd cover the crash fallout, every syllable a lie." Hale's billion-dollar suit suddenly alive again, the judge's gavel banging, tossing. Malik's countersuit like trash, Erica texting, "What the hell?" He called Jamal, no answer. The betrayal acid in his throat, A man he'd trusted with his life selling him out. Hale's dirty cash flashing in his mind because Jamal's old Camry had swapped for a Lexus last month, a detail Malik had ignored. He stormed to the window, fists clenched, the city mocking him, that win at noon a mirage. And then glass shattered below, a roar rising, hundreds storming Apex's plaza. A mob in hoodies and masks, bricks smashing windows, spray cans hissing. "Go back to the ghetto" scrawled red across the entrance, security scrambling, outnumbered. Screams echoing as employees fled. Malik bolted down, 23 flights, legs burning, bursting into the lobby at 3. Glass crunching underfoot, a brick sailing past his head, shattering a monitor, the mob chanting. Fraud, fraud, egged on by Hale's propaganda, that fake clip and Jamal's lie now gospel. He shoved through, shouting, "Get out, this is my house." But a bottle cracked his shoulder, pain spiking, and then a gunshot popped, grazing his arm. Blood soaking his sleeve, warm and sticky at 90 degrees inside the chaos. He ducked behind a desk, pulse hammering, security firing warning shots, the mob scattering by 4. Sirens wailing late, cops strolling in, one muttering, "Looks like you pissed someone off." No cuffs for the attackers, just Malik bleeding. Arm throbbing, the plaza a war zone, windows gone, graffiti glaring. He stumbled out, medics patching him at 5, Apex's stock crashing again, 15 points down, news screaming. CEO's lies spark riot, Jamal's face plastered everywhere. Hale's grin invisible but loud. Malik called Tasha, voice hoarse, "Find Jamal's bank, now," and she dug, texting back at 6. Hale wired him to 100 grand 3 days ago, proof slamming home, but too late. The damage done, his oldest friend a snake, the mob. A dagger, Hale's war hitting harder, racial slurs on bricks, a neon sign of why, "Stay down, boy." The subtext of every hit. He limped to the SUV, arm bandaged, blood crusting, driving blind to the safe house by 7. Lena gasping, "Oh God," Aisha crying, "Daddy's hurt," and he collapsed on the couch. 65 degrees inside, the TV looping the riot, pundits sneering, "Guess he's not untouchable." He stared at the ceiling, Jamal's voice replaying, the gunshot ringing, thinking he'd lost more than Apex today. Trust torched, his family's safety a ghost. Hale's empire laughing. Did you catch that twist? Who'd have thought Jamal, Malik's ride or die, would flip like that? Comment number 1 if you think betrayal cuts deeper than any brick. Hit that like if you're raging at Hale's dirty game. And subscribe to see this fight explode further, because Malik's down, but is he out? Imagine your best friend selling you out for cash. How'd you bounce back? What's Hale cooking up next? After turning a brother into a blade, stick around, this war's just heating up. Malik Jackson slumped on the safe house couch in East Point, the dim lamp buzzing at 7 in the evening. His bandaged arm throbbing from the gunshot graze he'd taken hours ago when that mob trashed. Apex Innovations HQ, bricks and slurs. Flying, Jamal's betrayal still a raw wound in his chest. To 100 grand from Richard Hale turning his oldest friend into a liar on the courtroom stand. Lena knelt beside him, her nurse's hands gentle as she swapped the bloody gauze, whispering, "You need a hospital." But he shook his head. "Not safe, they'll find me," his voice rough. Aisha curled asleep on a cot, her whimpers from the warehouse kidnapping and home fire haunting the quiet. 65 degrees inside the duplex, feeling colder with every replay of the day's hell. The TV flickered, news looping the riot, CEOs, fraud, sparks, chaos, Apex's stock a carcass. 15 points gutted, and Malik's jaw clenched, knowing Hale's propaganda had lit the fuse. Twisting Jamal's lie into a torch, he called. Tasha at 8, slumped in a folding chair, dig deeper on Jamal, get those bank records public. As she texted back by 9, wired to 100 grand, timestamped, "It's Hale's money, I'm on it." He stood, pacing the creaky floor, texting Carlos, "Extra eyes on this place." The security firm's ex-Marines patrolling outside, shadows in the dusk. Because Hale's goons wouldn't stop, not after the Molotov, not after Aisha. By 10, Tasha leaked the records to ATL Uncovered, the blog dropping a bombshell. Coup paid off by Hale Media, timestamps and account numbers glaring, and Twitter erupted. Jamal sold out trending, the mob's arrests hitting news, 6 caught. Their bricks tagged with ghetto trash, proof Hale's hate wasn't subtle. Apex's stock twitched up, 5 points by midnight. Protests swelling outside Hale's tower. Justice for Malik chants shaking downtown, and he smirked, watching from a cracked laptop, thinking maybe this was it, the comeback hails. Empire wobbling as the world saw the truth. He slept 2 hours, waking at 3. Lena's hand on his shoulder, "You did it, baby," and he nodded, not done yet. Feeling the tide turn, planning a broadcast to seal it, his arm aching. But his fire back. At 6, he showered, water lukewarm at 80 degrees, threw on a black hoodie, and drove to a friend's basement studio in West End, 10 miles south, the rental SUV humming. Setting up by 7 with Tasha, camera rolling, they burned my home, shot at me. But here's the proof, flashing Jamal's payoff, the crash report. The warehouse lead, his voice steady. "Hale's scared of what I've built, but I'm still standing." Views hit 1 million by 8, fans raging, King Malik lives, and he exhaled, thinking he'd won. The mob locked up, Hale exposed, Apex clawing back, until sirens screamed outside at 9. Tires screeching, feds in black vests smashing through. The door, Malik Jackson, "You're under arrest, incitement of violence, guns drawn." His hands yanked behind him, cuffs biting deeper than the precincts last time. Tasha shouted, "This is insane," but they shoved her back, the lead agent, a white guy with a buzz cut, sneering, "You paid those rioters, we've got proof." Waving doctored bank transfers. Malik's name forged, tying him to the mob. Hale's latest frame-up landing like a sledgehammer. The studio faded, replaced by a federal holding cell downtown, concrete icy at 55 degrees. Malik shoved in at 10, the door clanging shut, guards in gray uniforms circling, one muttering, "Big shot now, huh," before a baton cracked. His ribs, air exploding from his lungs, another slamming his skull. Blood trickling hot down his neck, slurs spitting, "Stay in your hole, boy." As boots stomped his legs, knees buckling, the cell spinning black. He woke hours later, bruised purple, ribs screaming, a puddle of his own blood on the floor. Guards laughing outside. Hale says hi, their voices muffled but clear, paid off. Hale's reach snaking through bars, the riot frame a lie he couldn't fight from here. He groaned, dragging himself up, thinking of Lena, Aisha, the safe house, praying Carlos's men held. When a riot erupted at noon, inmates banging trays, guards distracted, and a shadow slipped in. One of his security guys, ex-Marine named Dre, whispering, "We're busting you," cutting the lock with bolt cutters, chaos masking their run. Malik limping through smoke and shouts, out a back gate by 1, collapsing in a van. Dre peeling off, "Safe house is tight, boss." He panted, free at 2, 60 miles west on Interstate 20, blood crusting his hoodie. RIBS cracked, thinking he'd escaped. Hale's jail play foiled, until his phone rang. Lena's voice sobbing, "They took me, Malik, help, cut." Off by static, Hale's goons snatching her from the safe house. Carlos texting, "They hit us hard." 3 down, she's gone. Malik roared, punching the dash, blood smearing. The van swerving at 70 miles an hour, Dre grim, wheel. Find her, but his gut sank. The broadcast went a cruel joke. Jail a warm-up, now Lena in their hands. Hale's war ripping his soul apart. He slumped, head pounding. Where'd they take her? And Dre shook his head, working on it. The road blurring, Atlanta's skyline a ghost behind them. Every bruise a reminder of guards' boots, every mile a scream for Lena, Aisha. Alone with guards at the duplex, Hale's voice in his mind, "You'll break, boy." Racial hate fueling every hit. The cell's slurs echoing the mob's bricks, the warehouse goons. A system rigged to crush him. He texted Tasha, "Find her, now," and she replied on it, "Stay low." But low wasn't an option. Not with Lena gone, not after he'd thought he'd won. The leak, the broadcast, all dust now. Hale's counterpunch a sledgehammer, guards his puppets, the frame a cage he'd barely slipped. Dre pulled into a truck stop at 3, 70 miles out, air thick at 75 degrees. Malik gulping water, blood staining the bottle. We hit back, hard, his voice a growl. Dre nodding, got a lead, Old Mill off 85. And Malik's eyes narrowed. Then we go, the jail beating a fire in his bones, Lena's sob a lash. Aisha's safety a thread, Hale's empire laughing, thinking they'd snapped him. He stood, wincing, ribs grinding, the van's engine rumbling, ready to roll. Because this wasn't over, not while he breathed, not while Hale thought he'd bow. The broadcast's million views a flicker. The real fight here, now blood and grit, no cameras, just survival. He pictured Lena, her soft hands, her strength, gone because he dared to speak, dared to win on Diana's stage. And Hale's world wouldn't stop. Not jail, not riots, not this. Every move darker, meaner, the racial venom a flood, stay. Down their mantra. But he'd never stayed down, not at Moreland High, not building Apex, not now. Even as the van sped south, the mill looming, his body broken, but his will iron. Hale's next hit waiting, bigger, uglier, and Malik ready to meet it, because losing wasn't his story, not yet. Malik Jackson gripped the van's door handle, blood crusting his black hoodie from the jail beating hours ago, ribs screaming with every breath as Dre floored it south on Interstate 85. 70 miles from Atlanta's chaos, the truck stopped fading in the rearview at 3 in the afternoon, Lena's sobbing voice looping in his skull. They took me, Malik, help, snatched from the East Point safe house by Richard Hale's goons. Carlos's text still burning, 3 down. She's gone. The mill lead was all he had, a derelict sprawl off the highway, 10 miles ahead, and he growled. Faster, Dre's knuckles white on the wheel, the speedometer hitting 90 miles an hour, the engine roaring over Malik's pounding pulse. Aisha's safety back at the duplex a fragile thread, his body a wreck, but his mind razor sharp. Hale's were now a personal slaughter. Dre swerved off at 4, tires kicking gravel, the mill looming, a rotting hulk of brick and steel. Windows blacked out, air thick at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and Malik stumbled out, Glock drawn. Bloodshot eyes scanning, Dre whispering, for of us, 6 of them, we hit hard. The team, ex-Marines in TAC vests, fanned out, shadows in the dust, Malik leading. Boots crunching broken glass, the mill's guts dark and damp, a dripping pipe echoing as he crept in, heart hammering, Lena's life the only thing real. A shadow moved, a grunt snarled, he's here, and gunfire erupted, muzzle flashes blinding. Malik diving behind a rusted vat, bullets sparking off metal, his shot popping, catching a thug's shoulder, blood spraying red at 90 degrees inside. The heat. Dre flanked, cracking a skull with his rifle butt, another goon lunging at Malik, knife glinting, slashing his thigh, pain searing, but he twisted, fired twice, the guy crumpling, chest blooming crimson, the air thick with curdite and sweat. 5 down, 1 left, and Malik limped forward, blood soaking his jeans, spotting Lena tied to a chair, her scrubs torn, eyes wide. Malik. He roared, tackling the last thug, a weary bastard spitting, Hale owns you. Fist smashing Malik's jaw, but he headbutted back, nose cartilage crunching, then snapped the guy's arm, bone popping, dragging him off her, untying her quick, her arms around his neck. I knew you'd come. Dre cleared the bodies, we're out, and they bolted, Malik carrying Lena, leg dragging, blood trailing, the mill silent at 5, then peeling off, sirens distant, his chest heaving. You're safe, baby, her tears soaking his shoulder. The rescue a jagged win, Hale's men down, her pulse proof he'd beaten them again. News hit by 6, choppers buzzing overhead, vigilante CEO saves wife. Apex's stock spiking 10 points, fans online raging, Malik's a legend. And he crashed in the van, 70 miles north, Lena patching his thigh with a medkit. You're insane, her voice soft, his grin weak. For you, yeah, thinking he'd turned it. Hale's grip slipping, the world cheering. They hit the duplex at 7, Aisha running out, mommy, the ex-Marines securing the block. Carlos limping up, lost good men, but we held and Malik nodded, we'll make it right. Planning to surrender, clear his name, the jail. Frame fading, Tasha texting, feds are spooked, you're trending harder. He stood, dust cooling to 70 degrees, ready to call Erica, set a presser, I'm done running. When Hale's voice crackled online, a slick video dropped at 8. Malik Jackson's a terrorist. Showing grainy footage, him executing. Mill guards, faces blurred, a lie stitched tight, news flipping, hero or killer. The mob's riot now a footnote, manhunts sparking, cop cars prowling Atlanta's edges. Malik's chest tightening, he won't stop. He was mid-plan, 9 sharp, telling Dre, get us out, new spot, when a boom rocked Decatur. 10 miles east, smoke rising, Carlos sprinting in, school's hit, Aisha's school. His phone buzzing, a photo from a blocked number rubble. Tagged, courtesy of Hale's crew, kids screaming on news, bomb at Carver Middle. Aisha safe at the duplex, but her friends trapped, Malik's knees buckling, Lena gasping, oh God. No, the safe house a hollow shield now, Hale's. Revenge a blast crater, 30 kids hurt, 5 critical, the world watching. Terror linked to Jackson? He roared, this is him, this is Hale. But cops circled closer, radios crackling, suspect armed. Hale's spin drowning his rescue. The mill a trap he'd walked into, Lena sobbing. Why won't they stop? And he had no answer. Just rage, the school's smoke a fist in his gut. Aisha's school, her world. Torched because he dared to fight, dared to win on Diana's stage. He grabbed the Glock, Dre, we're moving, now, and they piled in, 70 miles west again. A motel off Interstate 25, 10 by 10, air stale at 60 degrees. Aisha clinging. Is it my fault? And he hugged her, never. Baby, but guilt gnawed, Hale's racial hate a flood. Stay down in every bomb, every slur. The mill goon's sneers, the jail guard's boots. Now this, kids bleeding for his name. He sat up all night, 10 to dawn, Lena stitching his leg. We can't keep running. And he nodded. We won't, I'm ending this, fury boiling. The rescue a hollow crown. Hale's counterpunch a massacre, news screaming. Jackson's terror cell, the lie sticking, feds closing. Tasha texting, they're pinning it all. Stay low. But low wasn't his game. Not with kids in hospital beds. Not with Lena's eyes hollow. Aisha's school ash. He stood at 5, dawn gray. Carlos, get me a line. We're hitting back. The motel's him a pulse. His thigh stitched, ribs cracked, jail bruises purple, but his voice steel. Hale wants war. He's got it, picturing the mill, Lena's. Ropes, the bomb's echo, every hit a racial lash. You don't belong there chorus. But he'd never belonged anywhere but up. Apex's proof, now torched. And this was personal. Hale's empire a beast he'd gut, because surrender wasn't his story. Not after the stage. Not after the crash, not now, even as the motel shook with distant sirens. Hale's next move lurking, darker, deadlier, and Malik ready, because losing was death, and he'd die fighting first. Malik Jackson stood in the motel room off Interstate 25, dawn creeping gray at 5, the hum of the air conditioner rattling at 60 degrees, his stitched thigh pulsing under Lena's makeshift bandages, ribs aching from the jail beating. 2 days back, the Glock heavy in his hand as Aisha slept fitful on a cot. Her whimpers a knife in his chest after Hale's bomb tore through Carver Middle. 30 kids hurt. 5 fighting for life. The tag courtesy of Hale's crew burned into his brain. Lena sat beside him, her nurse's hands trembling. We can't keep running. And he nodded, voice low. We won't, I'm ending this. Fury a live wire in his veins. The mill rescue yesterday a fleeting win. Hale's terrorist spin, and school blast shredding it to ash, news screaming Jackson's terror cell. Drowning his truth, he texted Carlos at 6, get me a line, we're hitting back, and by 7, the ex-Marine rolled in, his limp heavy from the safe house raid. Got hackers, ex-cops. We can crash Hale's network, expose him clean. Malik paced, the motel's stale carpet crunching, do it, everything he's got. Picturing Richard Hale's smug face, Diana Voss's smirk, the empire that had torched his home, snatched his daughter, bombed Aisha's school, all because he dared to win on that Atlanta spotlight stage. By 8, they moved 70 miles east in the van, Dre driving. Lena and Aisha stashed with 2 guards in a new spot, a cabin off Lake Lanier, 30 miles north. Air crisp at 65 degrees. Malik's team piling into a West End basement. 10 miles south of Apex's ruined HQ, laptops glowing, Carlos barking. Hit his servers. Now. Hackers, a weary duo named Jinx and Rico, cracked Hale Media's firewall by 9, files spilling. Emails, payoffs, the 200 grand to Jamal, orders to cut Malik's brakes, rig the riot. Plant the MILF footage, a goldmine splashing online by ATL uncovered at 10. Hale's empire exposed, protests erupting outside his Peachtree Tower. Hundreds chanting burn it down, bricks flying, Apex's stock clawing up 10 points, feds sniffing. Malik watching from the basement, we've got him, his grin tight, thinking this was it. Hale's knees buckling. Jinx dug deeper, 11 sharp, holy shit. Senators on payroll, and Rico pulled audio. Hale bribing a Georgia lawmaker. Keep Jackson quiet, $1,000,000, crystal clear. Carlos grinning, sting time. They set it up fast, Malik wired, posing as a fixer. Meeting Hale's bagman at noon in a Buckhead diner. Vinyl booth sticky. Air muggy at 75 degrees. The guy, a sweaty suit named Vickers. Sliding a briefcase, Senator says shut. It down, Malik nodding, done, audio live to the feds, SWAT rolling silent to blocks out. Vickers nabbed at 12:30, cuffs snapping, Hale's voice on tape. You're mine, news breaking, media mogul caught red-handed, protests swelling, thousands now. Malik back in the basement by 1, fist bumping Dre. He's toast, Apex surging, 15 points. The school bomb pinned on Hale's crew, feds raiding his offices, Malik thinking he'd flipped it. The mill, the jail, the bomb, all crumbling Hale's throne. He exhaled, too sharp, get Lena, Aisha, we're clear, picturing their faces, the cabin's quiet. When boots thundered upstairs, 3 loud, SWAT breaching, Malik Jackson, down, rifles aimed. Dre diving, what the hell, feds, barking, cop killer, hands up, Malik's wrists yanked, cuffs biting, the basement a blur. Carlos shouting, this is bullshit, but they hauled him out, cameras flashing outside, for sharp. News screaming, CEO arrested in sting. Gone wrong. The lead fed, a square-jawed white guy, sneered, planted guns, officer down, your prince. Waving photos, a dead cop in an alley, Glock tied to Malik. Hale's mole in his crew. A quiet ex-cop named Spence, slipping evidence, the stinger. Trap flipped fast, Hale's reach snaking through, Malik's chest caving. You're lying. But they shoved him in a van, 60 miles south to a precinct, air thick at 80 degrees. Booked by 5, murder 1, the cop's death hours. Old, staged, Hale's revenge roaring back. The senator bust a smokescreen, Malik's win ash again. He sat in a cell, 6 sharp, concrete cold at 55 degrees. Bruises flaring, thigh-oozing. No call, no lawyer, guards whispering. Hale's boy now, and he pounded the wall. Knuckles splitting, the sting's triumph a ghost Lena's. Rescue, the school's pain. All for this, a frame tighter than jail. Hale's voice mocking silent. Terrorist, killer, done. Dre texted Tasha, they've got him, Moles Spence. And she dug, 6:30, guns planted. Cop was dirty, Hale's payroll, but no proof hit yet. Feds stonewalling, Malik pacing, 7 sharp. When Atlanta's streets lit up, 8. Loud, a hacked billboard on Peachtree flashing. You're done, boy, Hale's words in neon. Crowds gawking, news looping, Jackson's bloody trail. The dead cop's face everywhere, Apex crashing again. 20 points, protests flipping. Lock him up, Hale's spin a tidal wave. The sting's leak drowned. Senator free on lack of evidence. Malik's name mud, blood, death. He slumped, 9 sharp, cell bars cold, picturing Lena, Aisha, the cabin, praying they held. The sting a noose he'd tied himself. Hale's mole a dagger. Spence's quiet nods in the basement a lie. Racial hate in every frame. Stay down. The pulse from Diana's jab to this. A cop staged corpse. Hale's empire bending feds, courts. Streets, Malik's fight a flicker now. The basement's cheers a lifetime ago. His thigh bleeding through stitches, ribs grinding. The cell. A coffin, Hale's laugh loud in the silence. You thought you'd win? He stood, 10 sharp, banging the bars. I'm not done. Voice raw, guards smirking. Sure, killer. But he meant it. The stings bust a gut punch. The cop's death a lie he'd rip open. Because Hale hadn't snapped him, not yet. Lena's face, Aisha's hug, Apex's shell, fuel in his blood, the billboards taunt a match. Lighting rage, not ruin. He sat, 11 sharp, plotting, Tasha texting, working angles, stay alive, and he nodded, dark. The cell's chill sinking, 50 degrees now, every ache a vow, Hale's were a beast. The sting a trap, but traps broke, and he'd break this. Because surrender wasn't his game, not after the stage, the crash, the bomb, not now. Even as feds built a cage, Hale's next hit brewing, uglier, deadlier, and Malik braced. Because losing was death, and he'd claw through hell first. Malik Jackson sat hunched in the frigid cell, the concrete biting at 50 degrees Fahrenheit. His stitched thigh oozing blood through Lena's bandages. Ribs grinding from the jail beating days ago, the Glock long gone, confiscated when feds nabbed him at 3 yesterday in the West End basement, framing him for a cop-staged murder after the sting on Hale's senator flopped. Richard Hale's mole, Spence, planting the gun, turning Malik's win into a noose. The cell bars loomed, 11 at night, guards' smirks fresh from hours ago. Hale's boy now. Their taunts echoing the billboard's neon stab. You're done, boy. Flashing over Peachtree Street. Apex Innovations stock cratering. 20 points, the world swallowing Hale's lie. Cop killer Jackson. Protests flipping from justice to lock him up. He stood, banged the bars, voice raw. I'm not done, blood crusting his knuckles. Tasha's text at 10:30. Working angles, stay alive. His only lifeline. Lena and Aisha hidden at the Lake Lanier cabin, 30 miles north. There, faces fuel against the dark. Hale's racial war a flood. Stay down in every frame. From Diana's stage jab to the cell's chill. Sleep clawed at him, midnight sharp, when boots shuffled, a janitor, a skinny black guy named Otis. Slipping a note, teams here, and Malik's pulse spiked. Carlos's crew alive. Tasha's hustle paying off, the lock clicking soft at 1, Otis whispering, Rico paid me, move, the door swinging, Malik limping out. A ghost in the hall, 55 degrees now, guards asleep, a riot brewing distant. Cover for his slip. He hit the yard at 2, Van idling beyond the fence. Wires snapping under Rico's cutters. Malik diving in. Go. Tires screeching 60 miles west on Interstate 20, blood seeping. Ribs screaming, drag rolling, feds are blind. We've got support, ex-employees, activists rallying, Apex's remnants, a shadow army, Tasha texting. Hale's jury's rigged, treason next, the cop frame a warm-up. Hale's deep pocket DC pals forging Apex tech as foreign aid. A grand jury stacked, indictment at dawn. They crashed a barn off Highway 78, 3 sharp, 70 miles out. Air damp at 60 degrees, Malik pacing straw. We hit back, hard, Jinx and Rico firing laptops. Hacking Hale's empire. Crashing stocks by 4, 10 points bleeding. Crowds shielding Malik online. Freemalik trending. Ex-staff leaking Hale's bribes, activists storming streets. Atlanta's pulse shifting. Malik's name a spark. Hale nabbed for the senator's sting at 5. Feds cuffing him live. Bribery confirmed, Apex clawing up. 5 points, Malik grinning. He's down, the Barna war room. Victory close, until 6 sharp, news flipped. Jackson indicted, treason, the grand jury, Hale's cronies, slamming him. Apex tech sold to enemies, forged docs glaring, Hale's reach bending. Justice, feds raiding the cabin, Lena texting, they're here, then silence, Aisha's line dead. Malik roared, no, but the barn shook, 7 loud, feds closing. He's here, and he bolted back. 60 miles east, Dre weaving, 8 sharp, a new cell, Fulton County hellhole. Concrete colder at 45 degrees, shoved in, traitor, guards snarling, Hale's puppets. Waterboarding him at 9, icy torrents choking, talk, boy, slurs spitting, hoses blasting. His lungs burning, ribs cracking anew, blackness swallowing, stay down there him. Hale free on bail, grinning on TV, justice works. The treason lies sticking, Apex seized, tech gone, his team raided, Jinx texting, caught, sorry. Rico silent, Malik drowning, 10 sharp, guards laughing, Hale's king, his body a wreck. Treason a death knell, the uprising snuffed. He coughed water, 11 loud, slumped wet, picturing Lena, Aisha, gone again, the cabin hit. Hale's racial venom a tide. You don't belong in every splash. Diana's jabbed the seed, now this. A system rigged to bury him, apex ash. His fight a flicker when footsteps tapped, midnight sharp. Otis again, second chance, bolt cutters flashing. A bribed whisper, go, Malik crawling out. One loud, legs jelly, water dripping, ribs shattered, a service tunnel stretching, too sharp, air raw at 50 degrees. Staggering 60 miles west, Drzven waiting. They've got Lena, Aisha, Malik gasping. Find them, collapsing in. 3 sharp, the barn ahead, treason's weight a blade. Hale's grin loud, free, for now. News looping, Jackson escapes, armed, dangerous, the uprising a spark, snuffed, reignited. Malik's eyes steel, he's not king yet. Blood pooling, the tunnel's echo a vow. Hale's war a beast, but beasts bled, and he'd carve it open. Because surrender wasn't his game, not after the stage, the bomb, the sting, not now. Even as the van rolled, Hale's necks hit brewing. Uglier, deadlier, and Malik braced, because losing was death, and he'd claw through hell first. Malik Jackson jolted awake in the barn off Highway 78. 3 in the morning, straw sticking to his drenched hoodie, water from the Fulton County waterboarding still dripping, his stitched thigh pulsing, ribs splintered from guards. Boots hours ago, the van's rumble fading as Dre cut the engine. 60 miles west of Atlanta's hellhole, his second escape in days. Otis's bolt cutters a lifeline, after Hale's treason frame locked him in solitary. The barn smelled of damp earth, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, Jinx's laptop glowing dim. Feds hit the cabin, Lena, Aisha, gone, his voice cracking, Rico silent, caught in the raid. Malik's chest caving, find them, his growl raw, blood. Crusting his knuckles from banging cell bars, Hale's empire laughing, traitor the new slur. Apex seized, tech stolen, the uprising snuffed. Dre paced, we've got 5 left, hackers, ex-cops, they're with us, and Malik stood wincing. Broadcast, now, staggering to a corner, Jinx rigging a stream at 4, camera blinking. Malik's face bruised, soaked, Hale's juries. Rigged, treason's a lie, here's proof, flashing hacked docs, judge payoffs. DC cronies forging apex deals, his voice steel. They took my family, bombed kids. I'm not the enemy. Views spiked, 500,000 by 5, Fremlich roaring back, Atlanta rioting. Bricks smashing Hale Media's windows, feds scrambling, Malik's name a torch. Apex clawing 5 points, Hale's arrest unraveling, his senator pals. Ducking, Malik snarling, he's down, thinking he'd flipped it, the barn a bunker, victory close. When gunfire ripped the dawn, 6 sharp, militia storming, Hale's private muscle, black vests. Ours blazing, end him. Dre diving, Jinx hit, chest blooming red, Rico's scream cut short, skull cracked. 3 more dropping, blood pooling in hay, Malik firing the Glock, 1 down 2. Bullets grazing his shoulder, searing at 90 degrees inside the chaos. The Barnes slaughterhouse, half his crew gone, 7 loud. He dragged Dre out, limping, bleeding. Militia torching the roof, flames licking high, Hale's orders, a grunt yelled. Malik collapsing in a ditch, 60 miles west, 8 sharp, panting, we're alive, Dre coughing. Barely, the stream cut, news flipping, Jackson's hideout raided, terror cell dead. He crawled, shoulder oozing, ribs grinding, thinking Lena, Aisha, the cabin, when Tasha texted. 9 loud, Apex HQ's burning, staff trapped, Hale's counterpunch, Malik staggering up. We've got to go, Dre driving, 60 miles. East, Apex's glass tower a pyre at 10, 75 degrees outside, smoke choking. Employees screaming, Malik bolting in, glass shattering, pulling out 10, 15, arms burned. Lungs searing, get out. A woman sobbing, you're him, and he nodded, yeah, dragging her free, 20 saved by 11. Medics swarming, Savior CEO, Apex Ash, Hale's spin failing, crowds cheering, Malik lives. Until a drone buzzed, noon sharp, a black speck dropping hell, his old Decatur hood exploding, 60 homes flattened, dozens dead. Kids' bikes twisted, Hale's message tagged on rubble, news screaming. Jackson's war kills again. Malik's knees buckling, sobbing. No, the barn, apex, now this. His people, his roots. Ash because he dared to fight, dared to win on Diana's stage. He slumped, one loud, blood-soaking straw, Dre pulling him back. We've got to move. The drones strike a gut punch, 30 dead, 50 hurt. Hale's racist cabal of CEOs. White elites terrified of his rise, grinning silent, news looping. Terrorists' revenge, apex gone. His crew halved, Lena, Aisha lost, Malik's spirit cracking. Why them? The hood smoke a fist. Kids he'd coached, neighbors he'd fed, gone. Hale's venom a flood. Stay down in every blast. From the stage to this. A system rigged to bury him. His fight a flicker. The barn's slaughter a warm-up. This, a breaking. Tasha texting. Feds blame you, stay low. But he couldn't. Not with bodies in the street. Not with Hale's laugh loud. You're nothing. He stood, too sharp, shoulder bleeding. Dre, get me a line. The ditch a grave. His voice a growl. We're not done. Picturing Lena's hands, Aisha's grin, Apex's shell, fuel in his veins. The drones echo a lash, Hale's war. A beast, but beasts bled, and he'd bleed it dry, because surrender wasn't his game. Not after the crash, the bomb, the sting, not now. Even as sirens wailed, Hale's necks hit brewing. Uglier, deadlier, and Malik braced, because losing was death, and he'd claw through hell first. Who else feels this gut punch? Comment number 1 if you think Malik's unbreakable. Even with his world in flames, hit that like if Hale's evil's got you boiling. And subscribe to see if he claws back from this abyss, because this man's down, bleeding, but is he broken? Picture your hood torched, your people gone. How'd you fight? What's Hale's cabal hiding after this bloodbath? Stay locked in. The storm's raging harder next time. Malik Jackson crouched in the ditch off Highway 78, 2 in the afternoon. The air thick at 75 degrees Fahrenheit, blood seeping from his grazed shoulder. Ribs splintered, thigh pulsing under Lena's stitches. The drone strikes. Smoke still rising from his torched Decatur hood 60 miles east. 30 dead, 50 hurt. Kids' bikes twisted in rubble tag Hale's message. Apex Innovations HQ Ash hours ago. Half his crew slaughtered in the barn massacre at dawn. Lena and Aisha lost to the feds' cabin raid. His broadcast proof drowned by Hale's lie. Jackson's war kills again. Dre knelt beside him, mud-streaked. We've got 3 left. Jenks is alive. Hacked our servers. The laptop glowing. Malik growling. Errett, Jinx's fingers flying. 3 sharp. Cracking a cabal of CEOs. White elites bankrolling. Hale, emails spilling. And Jackson. He's a threat. Decades of racist plots glaring. Streaming live at 4. The real enemy. Malik's voice hoarse. They bombed my home, my people. Here's why. Views hitting to million by 5. Atlanta burning. Protests raging. Take them down. Hale's stocks crashing. 15 points. Feds raiding his mansion. Boardrooms panicking. Malik's. Name a Molotov. He's alive. Dre grinning. You did it. The ditch a bunker. Victory close. Hale's empire buckling. Malik stood. 6 sharp. Get me there. Dre driving 60 miles east. Tires screaming. Atlanta's skyline looming. 7 loud. Jinx texting. Hale's pinned. Feds have him. Malik plotting. Face to face. The Venn weaving. 8 sharp. Slipping into Hale's Buckhead estate. A marble sprawl. Guards down. Feds circling. Malik breaching alone. 9 loud. Glock drawn. Hale in his study. Whiskey in hand. Silver hair glinting. Smirking. You're nothing. Pulling a pistol. End of the line. Malik lunging. Disarming him. Barrel skidding. Pinning him to oak. You're done. Hale laughing. You'll never win. Sirens wailing. Feds breaching. 10 sharp. Cuffs snapping. Hale. Bribery. Murder. Malik stepping back. Blood dripping. Justice. Crowds outside roaring. Malik's king. Apex clawing 10 points. News flipping. Hale falls. CEO hero. His shoulder burning. Ribs grinding. But standing. The reckoning his. Hale's eyes venom. This isn't over. Dragged out. Malik exhaling. It is. Victory raw. Real. Thinking Lena. Aisha. The cabin when choppers buzzed. 11 loud. Feds turning. Jackson, freeze, rifles up, drone strikes on you. Bloodied gloves planted in his van, DNA faked. Hale's cabal striking back. He tried to kill Hale. News screaming, murder plot, Malik's. Chest caving, no, Dre shouting, run. But Malik bolted. 12 sharp, rooftop sprint. Choppers circling. Jinx's hack live. It's a lie. Feds deaf. Bullets ripping. A chopper landing. Dre's crew inside. Go. Malik leaping. One loud. Blades whirring. 60 miles up. Atlanta shrinking. Blood soaking. They've got me again. Hale freed on technicality. Grinning on TV. Framed a killer. The reckoning ash. Cabal's claws deep. Malik. Panting. Where's Lena? Dre grim. Working it. The chopper shaking. Too sharp. Feds trailing. Malik's fight a flicker. Hale's racial hate a flood. Stay down in every frame. From Diana's jab to this. A system rigged to bury him. The mansion's triumph a ghost. Drone strike pinned. His people's blood on him. Hale's laugh loud. You're nothing. But Malik's eyes steel. Not yet. The chopper banking. 3 loud. Cabin coordinates flickering. Lena's face. Aisha's hug. Apex's shell. Fuel in his blood. The cabal's lie a blade. But blades broke. And he'd break this. Because surrender wasn't his game. Not after the crash, the bomb. The sting, not now, even as bullets pinged. Hale's necks hit brewing. Uglier, deadlier. And Malik braced. Because losing was death. And he'd claw through hell first. Malik Jackson clung to the chopper's edge. 3 in the afternoon. Wind whipping at 70 miles an hour, 60 miles above Atlanta's shrinking skyline. Blood seeping from his grazed shoulder, ribs splintered, thigh pulsing under Lena's. Stitches, the Fed's bullets pinging off the hull as Dre banked hard, fleeing the rooftop where Hale's cabal framed him for the drone strike. That torched his Decatur hood, 30 dead, Apex Innovations ash, Lena and Aisha lost, Hale freed. On a technicality grinning on TV, framed a killer. The reckoning at his mansion hours ago a cruel mirage. Dre shouted, DC, now, the chopper cutting north, 200 miles, landing at 4. A dusty airstrip outside Washington, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Malik staggering out. Mud-streaked, Congress, they've got to hear, jinxes. Laptop buzzing, hacked cabal emails live, N. Jackson, protect the order. White CEO's terrified of his rise. Dre grim. Feds are 10 minutes back. And Malik nodded. Then we move, piling into a beat-up sedan, 30 miles to Capitol Hill. 5 sharp, tires screeching. His voice steel, air it all, Jinx streaming, the cabal's truth. 6 loud, crashing a hearing, suits gawking, Malik bursting in, blood-soaked. They bombed my people, framed me, here's why, flashing. Docs, CEOs confessing on tape. He's too loud, too black. Views hitting 3 million. DC erupting. Take them down. Hale's stocks crashing. 20 points. Feds raiding boardrooms. Malik's name a thunderclap. 7 sharp senators. Grilling. Truth or lies? Cabal heads crumbling. 8 loud. Hale Ray arrested live. Conspiracy confirmed. Apex's shell surging. 15 points. Malik standing. Justice. Shoulder burning. Ribs grinding. Victory raw. Thinking Lena. Aisha, the cabin winner. Sniper cracked the sky, 9 sharp, chopper down mid-flight, blades shredding, Malik diving. 10 loud, wreckage smoldering, 60 miles south, air thick at 75 degrees. Crawling free, blood pooling, Dre. Silence, crew vanished, phones dead, news flipping. Jackson's fake confession, a forged video. Him admitting the drone, Hale's voice whispering via radio. Told you I'd win. Public turning. Lock him up. Feds closing. Malik staggering. 11 sharp. 1 bullet left in the Glock. The hearing's triumph ash. Cabal's claws deep. Hale's laugh loud. You're done. Malik's fight a flicker. The choppers crash a grave. His people's blood on him. Lena lost. Aisha gone. Hale's racial hate a flood. Stay down in every frame. From Diana's jab to this. A system rigged to bury him. But his eyes steel, not yet. The wreckage avow, Hale's were a beast, but beasts bled, and he'd bleed it dry. Because surrender wasn't his game, not after the crash, the bomb. The sting, not now, even as sirens wailed, Hale's necks hit brewing, uglier, deadlier. And Malik braced, because losing was death, and he'd claw through hell first. Malik Jackson stumbled through the rain-soaked alley, 11 at night, 60 miles south of Washington, D.C., the chopper wreckage smoldering 30 miles back, his grazed shoulder oozing blood, ribs splintered, thigh throbbing under Lena's stitches, one bullet left in the Glock. The forged confession, I staged the drone strike, blaring on every screen. Since the sniper took his bird down hours ago, Hale's voice crackling via radio. Told you I'd win. The congressional hearings triumph at 8. Ash Richard Hale's cabal of racist CEOs exposed, Ray arrested. Apex Innovation shell surging 15 points, only for feds to swarm, public flipping. Lock him up. Malik alone, crew gone, phones dead, Lena and Aisha lost. The air slick at 65 degrees Fahrenheit, rain hammering his hoodie, mud caking his boots. Hales wore a beast, but he growled. Not over, Jinx's last hack his lifeline. Cabal docs still live, 3 million views. A spark in the dark. He limped to a payphone, midnight sharp, quarters scavenged from a dumpster, dialing Tasha. Upload it all, now, her voice shaking. They're hunting you, Malik, feds everywhere. But she hit send, one loud, the final truth, emails. Tapes Hale's orders to bomb Decatur, frame him, end the threat. Streaming raw, views spiking. 5 million by 2, Atlanta's riots reigniting. Fremont roaring, DC's streets burning. Take them down, Malik staggering, rain blinding. A warehouse ahead, 10 miles south, air thick at 70 degrees. Crashing in, 3 sharp. Collapsing on crates, blood pooling, Lena. Aisha, his whisper, the Glock slipping. Thinking he'd lost, Hale's laugh loud, you're nothing. When boots splashed, for loud, feds breaching. Jackson, down. Rifles up, Malik raising hands, it's out, you've got nothing, rain drumming. A figure stepping through, 5 sharp, not a fed, a whistleblower. Karen Tate, Hale's XBR. Streaming live, he's innocent, here's proof, flashing. Docs, Hale's kill orders, her phone glowing, 6 million watching. Feds freezing, stand down. Radios crackling, Malik's chest heaving. What? Karen nodding. I flipped. They're done. Sirens shifting. 6 loud, news breaking. Hale's convoy hit. Explosion. 10 miles east. Rubble smoking. Hale dead. Cabal infighting. Not Malik's hand. Justice. Protests cheering. 7 sharp. Malik free. Staggering out. Rain easing. Apex surging. 20 points. His name a him. He won, but he limped off. 8 loud whispering. This isn't my win. The alley fading. Karen's stream a lifeline. Hale's end a fluke. The cabal shattered, but a shadow lingered. 9 sharp, an email pinging Jinx's cracked laptop. Recovered by Tasha. Lena's safe. Aisha too. Relief flooding. Then a photo. Lena planting the bomb. Her eyes cold, for us, radicalized, vanishing into the night. Malik's voice cracking. No. The warehouse silent. 10 loud. Tasha pulling up. Feds cleared you. Let's go. Driving 60 miles north, Lake Lanier, 11 sharp. 60 degrees inside the cabin. Aisha running. Daddy, hugging tight. Lena gone. Where's mommy? His life soft. She's safe, heartbreaking. The cabal's fall of his, but his family the cost. Hale's racial hate a flood. Stay down silenced. Diana's jabbed the seed. Now this, a system cracked. Not broken. His fight a scar. Victory hollow. Apex alive. But Lena's shadow a blade. For us, her whisper. The unseen twist. His legacy safe. But hers a threat. Rain fading. Midnight sharp. Malik standing. I didn't break for me. I broke it for them. Cheers distant. The emails sting loud. This isn't over. A new fight brewing. The cabin's quiet a lie. Hale dead. Cabal dust. But Lena's ghost watching. Malik braced. Because losing was death. And he'd claw through hell again. Malik Jackson's saga unveils raw truths about resilience, systemic racism, and the cost of defiance. First, it screams that standing up isn't free. Malik's triumph on Diana Voss's stage sparked a war from sabotaged brakes to a drone. Strike on his hood, showing courage can ignite chaos when power feels threatened. Racism isn't just slurs. It's a machine. Hale's cabal of CEOs, rigged courts, feds, and media to crush a black man who dared rise, proving prejudice thrives in boardrooms as much as backyards. Second, betrayal cuts deepest from within Jamal's sellout and Lena's. Radical turn teach that trust can fracture under pressure, leaving scars no victory heals. Third, resilience is messy. Malik clawed through beatings, frame-ups, and loss, not with clean wins, but gritty survival. A reminder that strength isn't flawless, it's relentless. Finally, justice is a double-edged sword. Hale's fall and the cabal's collapse came, but Lena's bomb flipped the script, showing victories can breed new battles, especially when systems bend but don't break. This tale isn't a fairy tale. It's a mirror. Racism's roots run deep, and fighting it costs everything, yet silence costs more. Malik didn't just survive, he exposed a beast, even if it left him haunted. So, what's your takeaway? How far would you push against a system stacked against you? Comment below if Malik's fight inspires you. Hit that like if you're fired up by his grit. Subscribe for more stories of defiance. And share to spark the convo, because this battle's echoes matter. Thanks for riding this roller coaster with us. Here's to courage, truth, and a world where justice isn't a dream but a demand. Stay bold, fam.